Welcome into 5 Wide Fantasy. Today's video, best draft strategy. If you had a pick anywhere between 1 to 4, massive announcement, huge announcement. We're giving you something away for free, a jersey giveaway on the channel. All you need to do is be subscribed, and then you need to let us know that you're subscribed because you can't trust the people of the internet. I need your proof. So either send us a DM on Twitter or jump in the Discord and send me a message on Discord just with a screenshot of your subscription, and you'll be entered to win a jersey as well as $100 of site credit onto OwnersBox. If you haven't checked out our daily fantasy platform, you should be doing so, but $100 on there and a jersey of your choice. So go do that. Again, subscription, look in the description down here. We'll have the links to our Twitter, to our Discord if you do want to enter into the giveaway. Gentlemen, let's get to this topic here. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the first 8 rounds of your draft, and we'll identify some of the best players to target. And being it's 1 to 4, we're looking at the turn here. So we'll go round 1, and then we'll go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and round 8, because obviously at the turn, there's a number of guys we can give you in terms of options to look at. So this can help you build out your team based on those spots. But how do we feel, boys, about picking in the early part?
Yeah,
early pick.
I'm looking to get my redraft league started at this point of the draft. Picks 1 to 4, I really like. You know, we've done the mock draft before. Tyler and I drafted in the 6 and 7 spot, I think it was our last time, and I think we were both pretty open about not really liking that spot. It's just you get stuck in the middle. You could screw yourself early if you try to reach on someone, especially I think I took a tight end early and it kind of screwed up my wide receiver depth for the rest of the league, or for the rest of that draft. So I really like picks 1 to 4, and I think there's a lot of different directions you can go that are still like all good options.
Yeah,
you know?
I think this part of my draft I feel like is where I could be the most running back heavy early. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think I have a lot of good options to take running back in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, I really like the picks 1 through 4. I was pick 3 in our mock draft that we did, and I really liked the first 8 rounds of my draft.
Right.
Yeah, you had a great draft.
I completely agree with that. I'm mostly looking for, I like Jefferson and Kupp, but I'm looking for that top running back here, the guy who you know is going to be an RB1 if he's healthy.
Yeah, and the last thing before we get to each and every pick is as well, there's guys we've talked about on this channel in terms of must-draft players, sleepers, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like you want to make sure that when you're drafting your favorite players, you're getting them at the proper value. So, you know, a guy like Kadarius Toney, I fucking love this guy this year. But in my picks 1 to 4, he's not the most. I'd have to overdraft him to target him, or he'd have to fall to me. So we're looking in these spots like these are the realistic options. We talked about our favorite options. We'll probably talk about them when we talk about picks 5 to 8, 9 to 12. But let's get started. So round 1. Is pretty simple. We kind of came to a consensus on where we think people should go with picks 1 to 4. Cole, you want to kind of touch on that?
Yeah, so we had a little debate over it, but we ended up with Jonathan Taylor as the RB1. He's probably the safer one between him and McCaffrey, but that's become, I think he opened when fantasy draft started. He was the clear running back one, but throughout preseason and camp, people have started to be open to the idea of McCaffrey being the RB1. But we still think it's Taylor, McCaffrey at number 2, and that's kind of, there's a tier break after that. It definitely drops off, but we have another running back, Eckler, 90-plus targets last year, a receiving back, and then we have the top receiver at number 4, Jefferson. Again, kind of a debate with him and Kupp. Kupp probably, again, started the preseason as the clear wide receiver 1. Yeah. But O'Connell coming to the Vikings, them talking about how they're going to use Jefferson. He's now our wide receiver 1 and the guy you should be taking at number 4.
Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on there?
I would, I'm taking, if I'm in the 2 spot, there's some leagues I'll probably be taking Justin Jefferson. I'm really, really like him. I've talked about the fact that receivers just get more fantasy points than running backs now, and I think taking the guy who's could potentially have the most fantasy points this year sounds like the right idea to me.
Yeah, I think we'll get into the wide receiver part of it a lot more in the next video when we talk 5 to 8, because that's usually the point where a lot of people are willing to take wide receiver. The other guy, just to touch on quickly, you're not hearing about Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry is a guy you take top 4. I think you're fine if you do. Especially a lot of you people I know that watch the channel, you're very, very focused on getting as many backs as you can in the first few rounds. I don't necessarily love that strategy, but I'm someone who would take Derrick Henry in the first 4 picks. But okay, let's move to rounds 2 and 3. Where are you at, Ryan, on rounds 2 and 3?
So this is from, because you're going to get kind of the wraparound, right, on going around the turn for, like you said, round 3. So you have picks 20 to 28 here, pretty much. We talked about briefly how if Mark Andrews is still available, he's a great option there. Clearly the number one target in Baltimore right now, and I think they're going to have a much better offensive season passing the ball than they did last year. And Mark Andrews still, I think he finished as a tight end 1 last year, right?
Yep.
He was.
Yeah. So, and then another receiver we really like, Cole really likes too, is Deebo Samuel and Mike Evans. Both should be there, and I would take in that kind of the tail end of the second round if you can. And then in terms of running backs, it's crazy now that we're even talking about the fact that Saquon might not even be available at this point in some leagues, which is crazy. And if that's the case, there are probably still great options out there because that's, I think, a little bit going over his ADP and maybe people reaching a little bit. And then one guy I really like too, running back that you could look at this spot is Javonte Williams in this Broncos offense with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I like Leonard Fournette as well. That was the other one. Like I think this is what I mean is you could go with us if you're a pick 2, you could end up with ending up with a CMC Leonard Fournette start or CMC Javonte Williams start is something I'm willing to do. I think this is a spot where you can really do a good job with the running back position early. But Mike Evans, all three of us, is a guy that we're pretty high on. So that's a good option too.
Yeah, we found there were mostly receivers around this range because it kind of was right after like all the good running backs, right after Saquon and Leonard Fournette, and it's starting Javonte, Zeke. So it's a lot of Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, who's the other guy, Debo, a lot of them. But as you said, if Mark Andrews is available, that's my dream scenario. I'd take Mark Andrews with any of these 4 picks.
Yeah, so that's where we get to rounds 4 and 5. Round 4 and 5 to me is where you should be prioritizing wide receiver. That's my takeaway from those 2 rounds on that turn between the two from this area. You mentioned DJ Moore. Those are the typical guys that are there. Both the Denver guys, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. I know we've kind of made the decision here between the 3 of us that we are in on Cortland Sutton over Jeudy this season. I still think both of these guys will more likely than not be top 20 receivers. So I think they're certainly worth their value once you get to round 5 with Jeudy. The other one being DJ Moore, like you mentioned, and then Mike Williams as well. I mean, we're seeing the Chargers said it last year. They said that in that X role that Williams was going to play, that was the Michael Thomas role in the previous offense with Joe Lombardi, who's the OC, who was with the Saints. And Mike had a big year last year. And honestly, Keenan Allen's 30. Like Mike Williams could be taking over as the top option. We know the kind of target he can be in terms of big plays and in the red zone. And Keenan's a guy that has shown the ability to be high volume reception totals, but at the same time, Mike can break some big plays.
For sure.
The other thing I'll mention, I think we have to bring up is quarterback position. We haven't mentioned it at all.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, I think, is someone if he's there in round 5, that early part of round 5, that's where our group here is willing to make the swing on Lamar at QB. The first time we're looking at QB. And then running back wise, do you have anything?
Running back wise, I think I'd look at, depending on what you did in the first 3 rounds. Like if you have one running back, 1 tight end, let's say you took Mark Andrews and 1 receiver going into the 4th and 5th round, I think you're in a pretty good spot. You're definitely getting an A1 player at each position there.
Yeah.
So then at that point, it's really up to you looking for another receiver. And then if you want to take a running back because you're not really... you don't have a ton of stock in the guys going like a little later on that you can get maybe around 6 and 7. I really don't mind Josh Jacobs in this spot. And then another quarterback I'd be looking at kind of after the turn there in round 5 is Jalen Hurts because he has a lot of value as a running quarterback that obviously they crush fantasy. So
I had AJ Dillon and Josh Jacobs were the running backs that I think people should look to. I like both of those guys. Dillon, I think, can score. Jacobs playing with Derek Carr, who targets running backs at the highest rate in the NFL. I think there's still good value there on Jacobs in an offense that should be able to score some points this year. I feel like round 6, 7 is kind of the Cole Van Wicken zone in terms of Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, this is
Juju.
Bunch of receivers. Juju, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman. Bunch of guys I've talked about as being sleepers, potential guys that could win you your leagues. Juju's the wide receiver 1 for the Chiefs, Mooney for the Bears. Very different situations there, but still. Yeah. I like both those guys. I wrote down I'm taking Juju every time if I can.
I think that's consensus for all of us. I think if Juju's available there, no matter what your picks were before, I think you have to take him in round 6.
And I think going to like building out this whole draft strategy from this area is that we talk Juju. Mooney as well as a guy I think will give you a really safe floor this year because I think he's going to have an incredibly high, like we're probably looking at 27%. Like a 27% target rate. He could get to 140 targets. So he's someone that you can play safely, especially if you go, CMC, Fournette, and then you want Dillon and you ended up with you only have like one wide receiver, let's say it's Cortland Sutton, for example, or maybe it's Mike Evans, you could have a lot of faith in Mooney week to week, and then we can chase some upside later. Let's touch on the last round we'll be looking at in round 8. I've got Zach Ertz as a tight end option if you didn't grab Mark Andrews. I've got Alan Lazard as someone that I know Ryan's really into this year. And then Chase Edmonds is someone I think for me, I would go 2 running backs, likely go 2 running backs early. I'd really hope to have that CMC Fournette start. And then I'd start taking a run on wide receivers. And then if I came back to Chase Edmonds as like my second or my third back, I'd feel good there with his upside. And then Trey Lance is another one. If you haven't addressed quarterback, I think it's a no-brainer in 8 or back on that turn at 9.
Yeah, and I want to make a point of like, if you don't have a tight end at this point, like if Ertz is there, take him. But I wouldn't reach on like Freiermuth or even Mike Gesicki or even Cole Kmet, because he'll be there a little bit later on. Like wait at this point. There's guys that have that are still going a little bit under the radar in this part of the draft. Like even Rashad Penny is a great option here. I think he's going to be the lead back in this offense at this point. Yeah. He's been substantially better in training camp and in the preseason than Kenneth Walker's been. And yeah, like T-Mac said, I really like Alan Lazard. Aaron Rodgers he just shits on rookie receivers all the time, and they have so many of them this year, and he's already started complaining about the young guys. So I think like Alan Lazard will definitely be his safety blanket. And then one guy I do really like at running back, if you need one at this point too, is Devin Singletary. I think this Bills offense is just going to score so many points, and they have been in the preseason already. I think he's going to be a good option just because of how much faith they put him in the playoffs when their offense was really clicking, and even the tail end of the regular season. So those are kind of the 3 guys I'm looking at this part of the draft.
Anything summation-wise to kind of sum things out?
Well, you mentioned Trey Lance as kind of the lower tier of QBs here, and I was looking through. There's kind of 2 rounds I'd viably take quarterbacks in with picks round 1 to 4. There's round 4 and 5, that's like Lamar, Kyler, and Jalen Hurts. Yeah. And you can't really, all those guys will be gone before your picks at 6 and 7. You're not going to get Jalen Hurts there. No. So I like Lamar, Kyler, Jalen there. Or I'd wait. I'm not taking Brady or Rodgers or them. So I'd wait for round 8, 9 where you can get a Trey Lance, someone like that. So QB and Zach Ertz are my 2 favorite picks there.
Yeah, I think even when we ran through the mock, I think Aaron Rodgers was still available in round 8. So I like Lance there. You could probably get him in round 9, to be honest, but we were just looking at the end of 8, so it's at the turn. Awesome. If you guys enjoyed the video, let us know. Subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. Like the video if you enjoyed. And then comment down below if there's some guys that, you got a draft coming up, you want to know what you should be doing. I know, like I said, a lot of people in the Discord love that RB start. This is probably the start or the spot where you can do that kind of start. But anyways, again, giveaway, jersey giveaway, credit to the site.
Huge.
All you have to do, subscribe to the channel and send us either a DM on Twitter or join our Discord and shoot me an instant message. It's OBTMac on Discord. You'll see us active in there. But otherwise, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.